It's day two at the 55th International Film Festival of India. There were films to inspire, there were films to look forward to, and all the delegates and media personalities had something to take back home. Meanwhile, Orina Vaz caught up with the CEO of Swayam, an organization that is in charge of making sure that IFI is inclusive. Their theme is Sabka Manoranjan. So let's see what she has to find out.
We are here with Miss Vandana Bulchan, who is the accessibility partner SWAM. She is looking after this project here, which is accessibility at IFI. Ma'am, welcome to Goa. And
Thank you.
we just heard this press conference about Sabka Manoranjan, entertainment for all,
Yes.
and inclusion and accessibility at IFI.
This year, NFDC is very is as Prithul sir explained, that it's not a norm for them. It is part of, when you are talking about cinema, it is about enjoyment. So why leave out people, who are considered not so, who have mobility issues or
Correct.
who have hearing issues.
Yes.
So it's entertainment for all, making it diverse and inclusive. So people with people with reduced mobility. We at Swayam, we don't talk about disability, we talk about reduced mobility. So which includes women wearing stilettos, or pregnant women, or elderly children, anybody. So not only people with disability. So we kind of don't look at it as a 2% issue. So that is the reason when we talk about inclusivity here, we're looking at a larger gamut of people. It includes all of us. Even somebody like you and me, we wear spectacles.
Correct.
So we have kind of partial quote unquote disability.
Yes.
So we both are people with reduced
And we-
mobility. As an accessibility partner,
yes.
this is our second event. We are
Okay.
trying to make events and exhibitions accessible. We've actually been working from last 24 years
Okay.
in the field of accessibility. So this year is our 25th year, and with NFDC, this is our second partnership. We did MIF earlier in the year,
Okay.
and now
Yeah.
IFI and Film Bazaar. So as accessibility partner, what we have done is we have trained the social media teams in Delhi to make even people who are landing on the page, who are not coming here,
Okay.
who are enjoying, they kind of are able to enjoy, even have an experience online for whatever they are providing online, which is more inclusive. So we're talking about inclusive fonts, colors.
Everything that would make things easier and accessible to
for
them.
them.
Yes.
Plus, we have sensitized 200 plus volunteers who are part of this
At
event.
the 55th IFI here? Okay.
Yeah, here. Into inclusive language,
Okay.
into how etiquettes of how to behave with people. So
Okay.
this time, everything goes step by
By step,
step,
okay.
and we've made it more inclusive this year.
Yes.
And
And there's always more to
more
come.
to more
Yes.
to come, and we want to we continue to hope to do better next year, and it is better than last year. So this is how
Yes.
it kind of goes in improvement. And this time, as I was saying in the press conference in the tech pavilion, we have a simulation zone. So this is where, first time, what are the daily challenges people experience with disabilities, people with visual sensory disabilities, those you can experience. So it's like putting them in their shoes to understand how difficult it is. So we hope to take it more forward.
Great. And we wish you the best in that.
This morning, I had an opportunity to catch up on a movie, and after that, I met up with the producer of the movie Unsinkable, who told us more about how he produced that movie. With me, I have Jasper, who is the co-producer of a lovely movie that we just watched. Jasper, it was amazing to see Unsinkable.
Thank you.
Just like your spirit, the way he was telling us about how he met. I think even the people or the family that is involved. So the story, of course, goes through this family that, especially the boy spirit. It's really marvelous the way you put it up. So tell me a little background about that, and also about you, how you got into like films and movies.
Well, this movie is based on a true story. So, and the director's mother actually lost her husband in that accident.
Right.
So the director is connected to the story personally, and he's my buddy. So we are very invested in telling the story, and we had a lot of responsibility to the community because it's his hometown. So there was a lot of on stake.
Tell me how easy or was it or difficult was it to shoot, especially those underwater scenes that you've done?
Well, it's a movie about an accident, right? A boat accident, and everybody expects to be in the boat and see a huge drama when the boat sinking. But it's based on a real story, right? But we didn't know what happened on the sea.
On the sea, right.
So we had to stay on the shore and tell the story through the eyes of the family and the surrounding people. So we had to go in a water pool to do the things underwater. But the rest of it is shot on location in the north of Jutland. And actually we are like also in the movie, like show up here and there. And everybody, the whole town was involved, and we stayed there for 3 months. So it was like the community was backing us up, and everybody was involved, and I mean everybody.
All right, coming to IFFI and Film Festival in India, your first time at IFFI, of course.
Yes, it is.
So
yes.
how has been the response?
Well, it's been amazing because I come from Denmark, 9,000 kilometers away, and it's amazing to see how this story, this little story from the top of Denmark, is connecting to you guys in India, but I think it's because it's universal, family, community, and how you act when you are hit by a tragic event. And I also think it's important to talk about how you tackle these things. You have to talk about it.
Yes.
Communication. And it's also part of what's happening in the world, right? You have to talk together.
Right.
Solve problems. So, yeah.
Yes. And before you go, any message you like to give our viewers, apart from the one that that unstoppable or an unsinkable spirit that you always should have?
Well, this is called unsinkable, and I think you have to use that mindset when tragic stuff happens in your life. You have to think like, I'm unsinkable. It may be tough, but you will overcome, and you have to take care of your loved ones.
Preeti Soiru, meanwhile, catches up with Indian filmmaker Chandan Singh, who has at this festival a movie called Roti Khoon Banasi. Let's see what he has to say about it.
आयज आमच्या बरोबर आसा डीडी गोवाचेर तुमकां आमी स्वागत करता चंदन सिंग शेखावत, डायरेक्टर रोटी कोन बनासी हे राजस्थानी फिल्म जे इंडियन पॅनोरमा खातीर 95व्या IFFIक सिलेक्ट जाल्ले आसा. सर बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद. और मुझे बताइए कि ये जो फिल्म है ये पिता और पुत्र के रिलेशन पे है, आपको यही टॉपिक कैसा सूझा?
तो एक्चुअली मेरा जो स्टार्टिंग आइडिया वो यही था कि मुझे एक फ़ीमेल की कहानी बतानी थी, बट देन आई ऑल्सो वांटेड टू एक्सप्रेस द अदर साइड ऑफ इट. मतलब जब हम लोग कभी भी पेट्रियार्की या जो कॉन्जर्वेटिव थाट्स है या जो ऑर्थोडॉक्स थिंकिंग है वो कैसे एक जनरेशन से दूसरी जनरेशन में जाती है. एंड आई फेल्ट कि एक बाप बेटे के अंदर एक रिलेशन ऐसा होता है जिसमें बेटा हमेशा अपने पापा के सामने ही वांट्स टू फील वर्दी ऑफ हिमसेल्फ कि मैं कुछ अच्छा किया है, मैंने कुछ अचीव किया है. बट एट द सेम टाइम उसको बेटे को ही इज़ फ्रॉम अ मॉडर्न जनरेशन, ही वांट्स टू सपोर्ट हिज वाइफ. तो वो जो डायलेमा है कि आई वांट टू प्रूव माई सेल्फ टू माई फादर बट देन आई ऑल्सो वांट टू सपोर्ट माई वाइफ बिकॉज ही लव्स हिज वाइफ. तो ये डायलेमा मुझे एक्सप्लोर करना था. एंड इवेंचुअली पेट्रियार्की का विक्टिम एक फीमेल ही होता है, बट how does a male also become a victim of patriarchy in some way? That is the primarily film what it deals about, and that is something that I could relate, me being myself a male. So
फिल्म तो बहुत सारी भाषा में रहते हैं, तो खास करके राजस्थानी भाषा के ऊपर आपने.
हाँ, राजस्थानी इसलिए क्योंकि एक तो मैं खुद अपने घर पे या अपने राजस्थान में आई प्रेफर टू स्पीक इन राजस्थानी. दूसरा, राजस्थान के अंदर अभी सिनेमा बहुत अर्ली स्टेजेस में है, तो आई फील कि फिल्म्स इज़ अ ग्रेट मीडियम जहाँ पे लोग समझ पाएँ कि हमारी भाषा बोल रहे हैं लोग, किरदार हमारी भाषा बोल रहे हैं. तो वो एक अवेयरनेस क्रिएट करता है वहाँ के लोगों के अंदर कि हाँ, उनकी भाषा एक वैल्यू है. अभी राजस्थान का एक ऑफिशियल लैंग्वेज नहीं डिसाइडेड हुआ है, बट हम लोग का मल्टीपल डायलेक्ट्स है। तो मेरा फिल्म इसलिए इम्पॉर्टेंट था कि इट बिकम्स अ पीस ऑफ हिस्ट्री। एट द सेम टाइम एनीबडी हु वॉचेस फ्रॉम राजस्थान फील इंस्पायर्ड और फील द चेंज विच माई स्टोरी इज ट्राइंग टू ब्रिंग इन।
सर, इस फिल्म से आप लोगों को क्या संदेश देना चाहते हैं?
संदेश से ज़्यादा मैं चाहता हूँ कि हम लोग ज़्यादा एम्पैथेटिक बने इन जनरल, क्योंकि हम लोग कोई भी चीज़ देखते हैं तो वी ऑलवेज लुक एट द इजी वे आउट। बट जब भी हम पेट्रियार्की का बात करते हैं, ऑफ कोर्स वुमेन्स के साथ में बहुत बुरा बढ़ता है, बट आई थिंक मेल ऑल्सो नीड टू अंडरस्टैंड कि हाउ दे आर ऑल्सो पार्ट ऑफ इट, you know, be it through their own relationship with their fathers or brothers or friends. So that is my primary thing, that we become more empathetic and more understandable towards each other. So
थैंक यू सर, ऑल
you
द
so much.
बेस्ट,
Thank
और
you so
आगे
much.
के फिल्म के लिए भी आपको ऑल द बेस्ट।
Thank you so
डीडी
much.
गोवा से आपका धन्यवाद।
Thank you.
At IFFI this year, Australia is the country in focus, and Elroy Fernandez caught up with acclaimed Australian filmmaker Robert Connolly.
Everybody, and a very warm welcome to the 55th edition of the International Film Festival of India. I am with Robert, the director of a very, very famous film called The Drive 2. Talks about 5 women who go into the forest. But I'm going to let you tell us and tell all our viewers a little more about your film. This is the sequel which you've made. So can you run us through what's happening in the film?
Well, it's a sequel to a very successful detective mystery called The Dry. Very famous Australian actor Eric Bana, people would know from The Hulk and
Yes, of course.
Black Hawk Down and
Yes.
amazing films. And he is a detective investigating a missing woman who has been lost in the Australian bush.
Okay.
So it's a thriller.
Okay.
And I think for audiences here, it takes you into this incredible landscape.
Yeah.
And I made it as a big film. It's a big looking film about that world. And it's exciting. It's also, you know, I love that genre of the detective mystery.
Yeah.
I love that, can you work it out? You know, and there's some clues for the audience to
Yeah.
see if they can solve it.
You've spoken about, you know, going into the bush. Australia has such a diverse landscape, right?
Yes.
You've got deserts, you've got the waters. How challenging was it to shoot in some of these areas?
It was so challenging.
Yeah.
We were filming in winter.
Oh.
And the landscape was cold, it was dark, it was wet. There were leeches everywhere, and
wow.
there were spiders. But it's a beautiful part of the world,
Yeah.
even when it's tough. I grew up in the Australian bush,
Yeah.
and even when the landscape is tough to film in, it's still so beautiful. There were mornings when we'd come into a valley and the mist would be rising, and there'd be a little bit of rain, and it was wonderful.
What was the inspiration for coming up with the sequel to the film, and what made you decide that this is the time for we have a second film? Because the first film was a blockbuster in
It was,
Australia,
yeah.
commercial success as well.
Yes.
So what was the thinking behind going the second one?
Well, the author who wrote the first book that I adapted wrote a second book, and Eric Banner and I were just talking one day, and we thought maybe we should. The first one was so successful.
Yeah.
Let's see. But we also really loved the story. It was so unique. This idea of these 5 women going into the bush,
Correct.
and only 4 come out,
Correct.
and what's happened to them. We love the
Yeah.
story.
Final question before we let you leave. What's your takeaway from the film festival? Australia is a country of focus. You're here in Goa.
Yeah.
What's your takeaway from here?
I love being here. I love Goa. I love India. It's my first time here. There are 50 Australians here. It's the biggest delegation of Australian filmmakers that have ever come to India, and they've come here. We're meeting lots of local filmmakers, and the idea is that there should be more co-productions between Australia and India. And we know there should be. Our
There has to be.
countries are this close,
Yes.
and I think we'll see a lot of exciting things come out of
Correct.
the festival.
Well, here we have Lucian now giving us a bird's eye view of the stars that walk the red carpet today.
The red carpet was alive with excitement today at the 55th International Film Festival in Goa as directors, producers and film cast made their grand entrances. Among the highlights was Sunflowers Were the First Ones to Know, a remarkable Kannada short film directed by Chidananda S. Naik. Produced as part of a year-end exercise at the Film and Television Institute of India, this 16-minute gem recently captured for Best Shot at the 2024 Cannes Film Festival. Chidananda, along with his talented production crew and actor Kushal BK, graced the red carpet, proudly showcasing their incredible work. Another standout moment was the arrival of writer, director, and producer Mr. Murlidhar, accompanied by his co-producer and the business head of Panorama Studios. Alongside the talented cast and crew of the film Garat Ganpati, this heartwarming film beautifully encapsulates the essence of family and tradition, making it a true gem of the festival. With so much talent and creativity on display, the red carpet was truly buzzing today. This is Lushan for DD Goa.
We have Sachin Chatte, who is the man to go to when it comes to finding out what are the films to watch out tomorrow. So Sachin, good to have you, of course, here.
Thank you.
So if you can share with us maybe a little glimpse of a few movies you saw and what's coming up next in the movies to watch out for.
So there are a bunch of movies. As you know, there are more than 200 films that are being screened at the festival. And there is a huge bouquet for people to choose from. If you like documentaries, if you like feature films, if you like, well, there's not much of action films, but mostly there are drama, and there's cinema from all parts of the world. So tomorrow, a couple of films that I'm looking forward to. In fact, both happen to be documentaries. So one is called A Meeting with Pol Pot. So Pol Pot, as you know, was the dictator of Cambodia who killed many, many people. And back then he had invited 3 journalists, which was completely unheard of journalists meeting Pol Pot. So there's a documentary which is made now on the meeting with Pol Pot, which is being screened tomorrow. There's another one called Cinema Laika. Now, Cinema Laika is about a theatre which has been built in a forest in Finland. And that theatre is made by Aki Kaurismäki, who's one of the legends of world cinema. And he took this old warehouse and converted it into a theatre. And so the documentary is about the theatre. And Laika also happens to be Kaurismäki's dog. So he has named the theatre after his dog. There is another interesting film called Familiar Touch, which is in the morning. One day we all have to grow old. This film is about an old lady who's suffering from dementia and old age. So I know a lot of people don't like very serious subjects, but any film that can move you is a good film. I would say the film that really stood out for me yesterday was a Berlin winner called Dahomey. It won the Golden Bear, the top prize at the Berlin Film Festival. It is just 67 minutes long, but yet an incredible and a simple film. In the 1890s, the French troops, they stole a lot of artifacts from Africa and took them to France, about 7,000 of them. In 2021, the French government decided to return 26 of the 7 artifacts. So the filmmaker Marty Diop, this is just a second film. She has just documented the journey of those artifacts from Paris to back home until they are displayed in the museum. Very simple. So even, there's a king statue, King Gezo, if I'm not mistaken, that's what his name. So King Gezo has a voiceover. He's numbered as 26 in the list of artifacts. So she's cleverly given him a voiceover, a very Darth Vader-like deep voice. Like, why are they calling me 26? Why not 25? Why not 27? So even the statues, come to life. And then there is this whole debate among college students of what it means about your own identity, about your own culture, how important it is, what is the significance of it. You had a great culture maybe 200, 300 years back. Is it still relevant? Is it a part of your identity? So very interesting, just 67 minutes long. And again, a great film and a great proof of you can take a simple concept and yet make a great film.
Talking about film, it reminds me of The Monuments Men.
Something similar.
Yeah.
In fact,
but in 60 minutes, because Monuments Men is, I think, almost 2 hours.
Yeah, that's a proper feature film. In fact, there was a documentary made in the 1950s called Statues Don't Die by 3 very influential filmmakers of that time. And this is somewhat similar. That documentary was about 35 minutes long. This is just the double the amount of time. But it touches a similar subject of, what has colonialism done to your country? What are the after effects of it? And how bothered should we be about it?
All right. Okay, Sachin, thank you very much once again for joining us. And of course, we have more about films coming up and what's coming up in our segment, like always, on this lovely capsule that we have. So stay tuned to DD.